Times umpires ruined Major League Baseball. Being an umpire in Major League Baseball is one of the hardest jobs in sports. With pitches being thrown at over 100 miles per hour, bang-bang plays on the base paths, and rules changing every year, you can almost count on calls being missed. With that being said, baseball has also had many moments where an umpire seemed to get in the way of a history-making moment. In this video, we will highlight some of those times where umpires ruined Major League Baseball games. One of baseball's more well-known umpires is Angel Hernandez. Though he's well-known, players and managers would likely call him infamous instead of famous. Angel is known for being at the center of missed calls. Let's go back to a game in 2013 between the Oakland A's and the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians were up 4-3 in the top of the ninth inning when Adam Rosales hit what should have been a game-tying home run. On the field, it was called a ground rule double, but with automatic replay, there was seemingly nothing to worry about. But in the first year of replay, the call would be decided by the crew chief on the field, not by the baseball offices in New York. And then Angel Hernandez stated that the call would stand. This infuriated A's manager Bob Melvin because it was so clear to everyone that the hit was a home run. This led to the Guardians taking the win 4-3. And though this was a regular season game in May, it got a lot of attention. MLB Executive Vice President Joe Torre commented on the play and questioned the following day, saying that Angel Hernandez made the wrong call, but the score would stand. One would have to assume this was one of many plays that led to Major League Baseball adjusting the automatic replay system to be more accurate. We're throwing it back to 1983. This was one of the most memorable umpire blunders in history. George Brett, a Hall of Fame third baseman who played his entire career with the Royals, was up to bat in the ninth inning, down by 1. With a runner on, he smoked a homer to put his team ahead in the game. But Yankees manager Billy Martin had a trick up his sleeve. Martin walked out and pointed out that Brett's bat had pine tar too far up the handle, making the bat illegal. The rule was misinterpreted by the umpire Tim McClelland, who promptly called Brett out. This led to one of the most memorable bench-clearing moments in the game's history. George Brett was infuriated. When the game ended, the Yankees were on top, but the call was overturned by the American League. Brett was credited with the home run, and the Royals were able to complete the victory when play resumed a month later. Before automatic replay in Major League Baseball, whatever was called on the field stood. This led to some infuriating moments for baseball fans. Calls that seemed so obvious to the naked eye would get missed, and there was nothing that anyone could do about it. That takes us to 2010. Armando Galarraga was a journeyman pitcher with the Detroit Tigers. He was pitching against the Cleveland Guardians, and he had a perfect game going. You could feel the anticipation from the fans, and you could definitely feel it from his teammates. It's the top of the ninth inning, with 1 out to go to complete the feat. A ground ball was hit by Jason Donald, thrown to first, and umpire Jim Joyce incorrectly calls him safe. In one of the most heartbreaking moments in Detroit Tigers history, this one felt like it might be changed. It's commonly referred to as the 28-out perfect game, which ultimately helped usher in the change to automatic replay without a doubt. Jim Joyce apologized profusely for the missed call, even owning up to the fact that it was a blatant missed call, though unintentional. After all, umpires are human too. There's even been petitions from fans to overturn the call and recognize the excellent game by Galarraga as a perfect game. Those calls, unfortunately, have been left unanswered. Back in 2012, before replay, the Braves were taking on the Cardinals in the National League wildcard game. This game is remembered for a few reasons, which we'll get to. But one of the most important reasons it's remembered is because it was the final game for legendary third baseman Chipper Jones. Unfortunately, it would also be tainted with a terrible blown call. In the bottom of the 8th inning, the Cardinals were up 6-3, but the Braves had a rally brewing with 2 men on and Andrelton Simmons at the plate. Simmons would pop one up in between the shortstop and left fielder, and somehow the ball dropped. This led to bases loaded for the Braves, with Brian McCann coming up to pinch hit. But that scenario would never take place. Umpire Sam Holbrook would call Simmons out on an infield fly, rendering his hit meaningless. Braves manager Freddie Gonzalez put the game under protest, though that protest would be denied. Fans at Turner Field proceeded to litter the field with debris, including batteries. Atlanta was not able to come back from the missed call and were eliminated from the playoffs. Chipper Jones' last game would be remembered as the infamous infield fly game. An infamous blunder was in the National League Championship Series in 1997 between the Braves and Marlins. If you only were to look at the scorebook, it would show that Livan Hernandez had an excellent game against a terrific Atlanta offense. He pitched a complete game, only allowing a run and picking up 15 strikeouts. But if you watch the entire game, you get a whole new perspective. Umpire Eric Gregg's strike zone was borderline bizarre. He called pitches a foot outside of the strike zone, and Braves players couldn't do anything to stop the madness. This game wouldn't decide the series, but it gave the Marlins the ability to play in Game 7, which they won. Eric Gregg's pitch calling is one that is stuck in any Atlanta fan's memory. We mentioned Angel Hernandez already, but to no one's surprise, he finds himself in this list once again. Hernandez's calls and attitude has undoubtedly created a reputation for himself amongst baseball fans, players, managers, well, really anyone. But in April of 2022, he was under fire from both the Brewers and the Phillies for his inconsistent pitch calling. After calling strike 3 on Kyle Schwarber, Schwarber had had enough. He ripped into Hernandez and was promptly ejected. Schwarber was taking the fall for both teams, saying that he was terrible for both sides, and his umpire's scorecard would reflect that sentiment. There were 16 total missed calls behind the plate for this game, and one of the biggest moments was Schwarber's strikeout. Though it didn't have any real implications for the postseason, it's one of the most remembered blunders in recent memory. In 2021, the Giants had quite a season. The team had bounced back from a below 500 season in 2020 to winning 107 games in 2021. They looked destined to make a deep postseason run, and all they had to do was get past the Dodgers in the NL wildcard game. This would lead to a terrible way to end such a terrific season. The Dodgers would call upon Max Scherzer to close the game out with a 2-1 lead in the 9th inning. With 2 outs, Wilmer Flores would come up to the plate. With 2 strikes, he checked his swing, but would be called out by umpire Gabe Morales to end the game and the season. It's already a brutal way to end the season, but it also is a call that can't be reviewed. So the call stood. What makes this play even worse is that it's clear to the most unbiased viewers that it shouldn't have been ruled a swing. This was an awful way to end a terrific season and a heartbreaking loss for Giants fans. It may not have changed the result, but to have that last swing taken away from you had to stick with Wilmer Flores throughout the offseason. What about when a blown call affects the World Series? Well, it certainly did back in 1985. The St. Louis Cardinals were taking on the Kansas City Royals. Everything was going right for the Cardinals as they were winning the series 3-2 and winning Game 6 by a run late in the 9th inning. Then Jorge Orta, a pinch hitter, would hit a slow roller and would be called safe by umpire Don Denkinger. Anyone that watches the clip can tell that Orta was out, but the call stood. This was well before replay and couldn't be overturned. The Royals would rally to win Game 6 2-1. Then they blew out the Cardinals in Game 7, winning 11-0. Everyone turns back to that infamous call by Don Denkinger that may have turned the whole World Series around. There have been plenty of blown calls to go around over the years that are sure to infuriate the baseball fan base. Is there one that we missed that you can't seem to forget? Let us know down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications.
Guthrie does not agree with that call from the